Yes, and welcome to another episode of Shoot the Messenger, the podcast. Hello, Instagram. Bottom, hi, Kendra, AJ.
Hello.
And I'm
Greetings.
getting Windows alerts right as the show starts. Thank you for joining us. Episode 26, fantastic to have you along. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're on one of the many platforms, this is available, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and or Twitch. Welcome to the show. Kendra is my host. Thank you for joining me. Co-host. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you can be the host.
Well, you're the host.
Take it
I'm
away.
the friend.
Take it away. You can be the host. Let's bring up the board of topics today. A litany of things to get through. Of course, look at the beautiful background this weekend. We have a tree.
Ooh, it's psychedelic, man.
It's called Galaxy Tree. It looks good. But starting with our top story, let's jump right into it. Of course, you can follow along. All the links are available in the description below.
Speaking of trees.
Yes. 130,000 trees to be planted across England to combat climate change. No, the tree planting thing was taking off in I don't know, India. I think they planted a bunch of trees, and now England. And I think everybody can agree planting trees is a good thing. They've been telling us since we were kids, but now it seems like the whole world is starting to plant more and more trees.
Well, I was actually surprised to see this because I don't know if you've heard of this misconception, but I've been told in my lifetime that it's not as useful to plant trees in places like England or North America because the deforestation is happening in the rainforest, and that's where we're supposed to be replanting trees.
Really?
But I just did a little bit of digging into that, so I didn't look like the asshole saying that, right? And they're really saying that trees, it doesn't matter where you plant them, it's just kind of important to plant them.
I think so. And I guess it seems good to me. I mean, plant a tree anytime. You know who also agrees with that?
Who?
Mr. John Denver. Remember? It was from the 70s. I can't believe. Let me listen to this. Yeah, he put out this song and well ahead of his time.
Plant a tree
He's a
for
futurist.
your tomorrow. It's your tree that clears the air.
The tree clears the air, he
Plant a
says.
trees for America.
And England.
Plant a tree today for all the world to share.
Yeah, John Denver. 130,000 trees. It's expensive. Priced out trees today, and they're going for some are going for $260 depending on the tree. Can't be cheap operation. I guess the smaller you buy, the cheaper it is, right?
Yeah, a seed is practically free, but you get to those potted plants. The nurturing stages, that's really hard to get them from that germination to the sprouting point where you can replant them. You know, so that's really all the work. So when you're buying that full-size tree, you're just bypassing all of the really hard work.
Yeah, so I think this is something we're going to see more and more in the news. It's good to see other countries get on board. For a while growing up, it seemed like America was the environmentally conscious nation, but as like China and other places like India start to wake up, you know, they're talking about plastics in the oceans. We're going to see a big cleanup happen. I mean, because climate change is happening. So.
Well, and what's really interesting about this particular grant with the 130,000 trees is that it's really designed to be part of an urban challenge. So they're trying to go into cities and integrate more trees into this urban area, which I think is a wonderful step because we, like rural, there's trees in rural areas, but there are unused urban spaces.
I mean, there's trees everywhere here.
Yeah, they could certainly use a little bit of greenery because greenery is good for your mental health too. You know, I say plant a tree because trees are beautiful to look at and they're fun to climb when you're a child and they're just all around just great things to have in your backyard.
Just don't give her plants because they don't do so well in the household.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. The shamrocks are alive.
It's okay. It's about being watered. And speaking of water, we got flooding all over the world right now. There's flooding in the United States, and it appears there's flooding over in India, I do believe, right? That's where this is? That's where we're taking.
I thought this was Oklahoma.
Anyway, bus driver sense of humor playing the Oklahoma. There you go. Yeah. Get a, see, I don't even think it doesn't even sound like the original "Go On." I don't even think it is. Were you just lip syncing?
I was. It
Okay,
was great.
anyway.
You missed it. Yeah, no, it was fun. Like I don't mind it. I think that just the atmosphere in the
And
song.
then the
is
bus shuts
great.
down, and then that guy looks like a huge jerk for trying to be a comedian. It's like, you should have just got. I had to get to my job, and you're trying to play freaking Celine Dion on my way to work.
And buses don't go through rivers, dude.
Yeah, well, that would be me as a bus driver. I would try to do something great like that, and then the bus would shut down on me, right?
Basically.
Anyway, all right, kind of interesting story I found online is that the world is changing, and the virtual world is changing as well, with the induction of virtual reality becoming more of a mainstay. When I grew up, they had Virtual Boy, and there was that Aerosmith video. It's amazing, where they were in virtual reality. But now people hang out in virtual reality. They have conversations, and with that comes all things human, like religion. And this pastor actually baptizes people virtually on
Like little small gap.
And
Are you like, you got a big YouTube
we'll play just a little bit if it doesn't buffer too much. We'll see.
following, right? Or is that
Yeah, for the record,
Yeah,
I'm bigger than him. But I'm not trying to like make it a thing like that,
It seems to be buffering quite a bit. So anyway, this pastor started the first virtual online church, and he actually talks about making changes to people bettering themselves, baptizing them on online in a virtual space, which I think is cool. People with disabilities can now go to church and things like that. They can put on their VR headset and kind of feel like they're a part of church. I think that may be a little bit more immersive than watching it via like television or radio, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely opens doors for a more immersive experience.
Some people get saved via those like late night television shows and things like that. That's pretty immersive. But I think that this would be a little more personal, a little more real for you. I mean, who's to say what is real and what's not, and what is more valuable than the next? But yeah, definitely you can see a space for that, right?
Well, and there's been a lot of advocacy when it comes to building relationships, and this idea that the relationships that you build online are just as important as your real life relationships. So if you are getting a lot from going to an online church, that provides just the same amount of mental benefits as going to a real life church would, right?
Yeah, let's listen to a little bit of this real quick.
one of the things is that we are talking about being immersed in God's love. When you go underwater, that symbolizes your spiritual cells are soaking in divine love and new life and forgiveness and release of the old. And so I think that's a beautiful symbolic thing that represents. When you are lowered into the water, that symbolizes that you're dying to the old drumsy, the old attitudes and the old things that have held you back. And maybe there's
right. It just seems kind of surreal. You got Tigger and Winnie the Pooh watching you being baptized, and this person is an anime girl, right? So it takes a very open mind to go around these things. What's going to be next? I think people have been converting to religion in all forms of media, but it's weird to think about different spaces that people could be doing that. Baptisms in space, baptisms on the moon, and stuff like that. Still mean the same thing. You're physically there, but a virtual space.
Yeah,
Now,
it's a little bit different. He does talk a little bit about some of the pushback that he's gotten from people about this idea that it's not real church because it's in this virtual space, or that it's not real because it's virtual. And so there's going to be, I think no matter what the religion, there's always going to be a certain type of pushback no matter what. And I think this type of cutting edge, certainly it pushes people's comfort levels.
Well, if religion is about really reaching people, I'm sure you can reach a lot more people doing something like this. The pastor seemed very level-headed, and of course he says he likes to talk to other people, even non-believers, especially because they're very intelligent, and he likes to talk with them about different philosophy, because he feels like he betters himself as a minister. So very interesting. The internet is a brave world, and of course there's always internet trolls and stuff. So you got to have a thick skin to be able to be doing that online. And this pastor definitely has the chutzpah. We'll just say for that. All right, something we talked about before. Let's move on to the next topic.
Speaking of the chutzpah to admit you're wrong,
That's
in
very
this
nice.
case.
I like that, Kendra. Very good. Sonic the movie actually now delayed till February 2020. We talked about how they were going to fix things, but this movie was supposed to drop in November. They know that they want to get Sonic right now. Of course, Jim Carrey also co-starring as the evil Dr.
The villain.
Roboto. So they're pushing it back to February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2020.
Well, but that's not, I mean, it's only 3 months. That's not very long to fix all of these details. So I
think it's
wonder-
enough. I mean, 3 months, when you think about it, it's a long time. If I had 3 months to work on a project, solely just fixing it up, because basically the movie was set to drop then, and now they're
True.
just doing fixes, right? So 3 months is a hefty amount of time. Yeah, pretty quick turnaround, but at least they're not trying to rush it out there, right? Nobody wants to see that. And I think we should just go see it on principle. On principle alone, you should go see the Sonic movie just because they took advice and they made changes that needed to happen.
They were trying to do their due diligence.
They were trying to do their due diligence, Kendra. And you know who's not doing, or who didn't do the due diligence? You know what I'm saying? Is this? Oh, wait. Do I have it?
Yeah, you got this guy?
No.
No, the next guy.
What I wanted to do is talk about the Game of Thrones guys. And I thought I had that saved, but maybe I could throw this in there last minute. Now, the Game of Thrones guys, George R.R. Martin did an interview, right? And maybe you remember the interview a little bit. You can help me segue.
David and Dan. The reporter started by saying, like, why
Yes,
is
I
it
do have it.
ending?
I
Why
do
is it
have
ending?
it. Yes, I do have it. I do have it, Kendra. So they were setting up. You want to set it up a little more?
Well, she was just asking why is the show ending, and George just kind of said, "Ask David and Dan, ask D&D," and then he continues to go on to say this.
12, 13 seasons, but
He wanted to.
I guess they wanted a life.
So you wanted it to keep going.
Well, if you've read my novels, you know there was enough material for more seasons. They made certain cuts, but that's fine. We have 5 other shows. 5 prequels in development.
Wow.
That are based on other periods in the history of Westeros. Some of them just 100.
So basically, in your time, you can watch the rest of the whole interview, but he wanted it to go at least 13 seasons. They shut it down to 8. He was like, maybe 10? No, 8. And they did 8. And it did seem rushed, didn't it? All the storylines.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard somebody say it put best. Okay, all the conclusions, sure, but get us there. Like it didn't have enough building to those moments.
I do like that there's more Thrones on the way, whether it be prequels in the form of prequels or other. Maybe we'll see some of the same actors portrayed as their younger version or something like that, yeah?
When reporters were asking George for clues about what we're going to see from Westeros, he kind of said, do a little research on the timeline and make your guess. So I would recommend.
You did do research. Come on, tell us what you figured out.
I would say that it's going to be the Age of Heroes, which is when the great houses were all fully formed in the very, very beginning. So the Targaryens and the Starks and all of those, it was the Age of Heroes is what the time period was called in Westerosi history.
Oh my God, I had us under Grand Theft Auto. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto role playing.
Yes,
so,
you have.
Yeah, we'll do a story on that a little bit. I'll throw it into the Shoot in the Messenger podcast, get you updated on the adventures of Don Rodriguez. But I thought that was fascinating. I'm glad there's prequels coming out, so we'll get a little bit more Thrones action going on. A lot more, looks like. Inundated with Thrones action.
It's coming.
All right. And some days be like, this guy. This is the guy you don't want to mess with, right? I'll just say this, okay? I thought this guy was wrong when I started. When I started my research, I'm like, this guy's in the wrong. After, I think he's in the right. But you don't want to mess with this guy. I'll let him do his thing here. Let me turn it up a little bit. Here we go.
What gives you the right to park like that right there? What does that give you the right to park like that?
What are you going to do about it? You got a problem?
I just don't understand what makes you...
Because somebody was pulling out in front of me and I was trying to pull in here. And I was in a hurry, and so I parked like that. Is that a problem for you? Is there any problem whatsoever?
It is.
Why?
What is...
Because you're a dumb son of a bitch, that's why.
I'm sitting in my parking spot, and I'm...
Because you're a dumb son of a bee, that's why. I mean, he's got a point. Nobody else needs those spots. He was kind of blocked in. Initially, I do get upset when I see a car parked there. I think, but you know what? yes, those are rules, but common sense is nobody else needs those spots. It's fine. Everything is fine. Don't freak out. And my initial gut reaction does kind of want to freak out. It just tells me in life that, like, hey, I'm going to let things slide. Man, we got those people in life that are, like, not common sense people that have the rules. And I really do hate that. I think some things have a gray area. But pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Why?
Well, I just want to hear this back.
What is...
Because you're a dumb son of a bitch, that's why.
I'm sitting in my parking spot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
There are days to be upset about parking spots and the ways that people park, like winter days when there's not enough parking spots in your apartment complex because everybody's parking like an asshole. And then there are days where it's just like this, and it's like mind your own business.
Yes,
friends.
and that's what happened this week in Reddit. Okay. All right, so let's get to it. More Reddit. This poor guy watching people die inside. I might have played this on an earlier show, but I saw this again, and this just sums up like most of my days. The weary lone guy staring, who's obviously sweeping the walk, looking at all his work. And I think I played this in one of our first shows, actually. Now that I remember, but just some days just like, can I get him full screen on? No, I can't. There.
Mama said there'd be days like this.
What do you do on days like that, Kendra?
You just keep going, man.
Is that what you do?
Somebody's paying you to do that work, and that is job security, my friend.
Oh man, I just love it. It's so perfect. He's got the broom down. It's better every loop. And he's not doing anything. And this is great for a performer like myself to watch. Sometimes when you're on stage, you don't gotta do shit. It's more powerful just to stand there and then look at it. And look at the chaos around you. I thought I'd just share that because some days do feel like that, and maybe you shouldn't. In the news, California. Let me just tell you, I've hiked Mount Baldy, and these two hiking Mount Baldy used one of those water purifying straws to survive. Right, hikers get lost and they survive. They made a campfire. 33 and 31 on Mount Baldy. I've climbed. I had a race on. This is in LA County, so it's not far off. I think people are going out trying to get the Instagrams, trying to do too much, getting lost, and then you got to send out rescue.
Well, at least they had the water purifying straw on them to assist with their safety. It's surprising how it's so easy to get lost. You think like, oh, I'm in LA County, right? And you think that
it's true. No,
I can see the city from here.
Well, yeah, okay.
Right?
No,
no,
you can't see the city from there.
I'm
maybe in the
curious.
distance, but there's too much hills and other mountains in the way. Before when you talk about Mount Baldy, but 30 square miles, 1,900 acres. They were combing, and they were lost for 5 days. It's just when they start trying to get creative, trying to take different routes. They went up with a group and then they got separated. Just common sense mistakes that people are making, but they had the straw, so they drank from that. But I wouldn't even be talking about it if it wasn't for another hiker that went missing this week that was found after 17 days in the wild. Kendra, 17 days.
That's
a
long time.
Yeah.
But, and 17 days is a long time.
Yeah.
In the Hawaiian forest.
Yeah, well, at least it's warm enough. No, tropical climate, I'd say it's easier to stay warm. I'd be worried about bugs or poisonous things right there. She's a doctor of physical therapy, and her name is Amanda Eller. And imagine the ecstatic faces. Actually, they do have some videos of it. These rescuers that found her, really, really happy. But what's with all the hikers getting lost?
I think it 'tis the season, right? The birds are a chirping, the bees are a buzzing, and the humans are looking for that Instagram a photo.
Let me tell you this. I met a lady this week. There was a marathon in town, and I think a lot of people. This has to do with what's going on. People see the highlights and they want to make their own highlights. They don't want to put in any work. They just want to be the highlight. And I think with the hiking, you got a lot of inexperienced people that just want to do the thing. We had a marathon in town this weekend, and I had this lady with her kids, Instagram famous. Didn't look like she had prepared for the marathon at all. She was wiped out. She said she'll never do a marathon again. She'll never run it because she didn't prep. She just wanted to say that she did it and put it in her highlight reel.
So for us non-runners, how far is a marathon?
26 miles, right? About right. Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah. So it's like, I mean, and I don't get it. Yeah, I don't think we have to break it down that much.
Oh
for
yeah, I do. I
them.
do. I don't know. I always forget. Is it 26? Is it 12? Is it 4?
It's,
Like how
it's
many
a long
miles
way.
is it?
I just think that people want that. She said it was on her bucket list, and I think there's something to preparing for what you're about to do rather than just saying that you did it, like doing it well. I mean, feeling proud of your accomplishment. It's an accomplishment because you've done the prep work and you've done well doing it, not just because you did it. In some
Absolutely.
cases, right?
Yeah.
Now she's got this bitter taste in her mouth about marathons and how it's so bad for your body. It's like, well, you don't look like you prepped a day in your life, other than going shopping at Lululemon. So anyway, that's where I'm going to end the show. On that note, so make sure you do the work, you do the math, and you keep listening to Shoot the Messenger podcast. Thank you to all viewers, the handful of you that we speak to. We appreciate your support in any which way you can. Kendra, how's NPR? Do you want to catch us up on anything in your life? What's up?
Well, I do not want to catch you up on NPR.
Okay,
like the
or
gala
anything.
the gala is coming up.
Yeah.
So we're rehearsing for that. Singing and dancing is starting today.
Yeah, look at this hair. I got a haircut. Did we do a show since I got a haircut? Was last week haircut?
I don't
Maybe.
know.
I don't know. It's kind of unruly
yeah.
right now. I need a hairnet for the show. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, the gala is coming up, and thank you for watching the show. As for me, AJ, and Kendra, we say
Yes.
goodbye. Sayonara, suckers.